In this video help, we're going to be covering the popovers that you see here in the lines. We're going to explain each one separately. For example, we're going to start out with room assignment. Before we go there, I'm going to cover a couple things we didn't cover in the last video. For example, the booking status. This is a drop-down list that gives you the ability to add a status for each of the bookings in the current state that they're in. And this is reflected in some respect in the calendar on the main screen that you open in the beginning of the application. You can also edit this list by clicking on the booking status and come in here, come over and do an add new record, or use this one to add a new record and then type in what that new item will be. These are locked fields, so you can't really edit them. But if you want to change them, you can always go over and click on this button to go up and bring up the information and edit that. So you can change any of these when you initially start up the application. Now, it's another important thing to understand that once you start using one of these in any records, then do not edit it or do not delete it, because it will change the input on that screen for that item. It needs to be retained in that drop-down list. Okay, we can either navigate back this way or do the quick button to go back to the booking screen. What we're going to cover in this screen is, again, another thing. When you're looking in these screens and you're looking for information, and I covered this a little bit last time, if you're looking for a record and you want to find it, you start by the Start Find button, then the Perform Find, and then if you need to show all the records again after you've done your find, make sure that you click back on the Show All Records so that you return all the records to the current selection. As I stated before, when you click in a field like this and then click on this item here, it tells you the current amount of records that are in there in the found set. And if you've omitted any that are in a find, they'll be shown over here as omitted. You can always show the omitted and reverse it, or show all also here by this button. I'm going to recover this too. Do not use these two icons. This is the add record and delete record. They are definitely taboo when you're using it in this application. It can screw up some of your records. Thank you. Okay, let's go ahead and say done here, and then we're going to start on the first screen, which is the room assignment. Before I start talking about or showing the room assignment, I want to explain what is the room assignment. This is also shown on the main screen in the calendar, and it's used there to identify rooms that are available. And if they're available, in this case, you'll see the room status. In the room status, if you click on it, you'll see arriving, available, cleaning, departed, occupied, out of service, or pending reservation. Now, in this particular case, it shows the current status. Now, you can edit this also by clicking on the room status bar up here and go into the room status and edit just like we did the last screen and create a new input that you can have in your drop-down list. Let's go back to the booking, back to the assignment record. The room number in this particular case is a drop-down list. Now I'm going to explain in the add records for the add rooms, there is a room number. And in this case, this is taken from actual data that was in one of the applications that a person had set up. And the reason I'm showing it in this state is I want to show you that in some cases you need to put spaces in between the room number and the actual item. In this case, the person put the room number and they called it a one-bedroom king. They could have called it room number 1 or RM1 and whatever, but in this case it's room number 1, 2, and so forth as you go down the list. These are kind of interesting the way that it actually lists them. It'll do 1 and then 10, then 101, 102, and so forth. And if you scroll down through them, you'll see that 1 is still also carried along as you go down through, and you'll see the different rooms. Now this was a hotel and long-term residence in Miami, Florida, and they combined a lot of different kinds of rooms where they had some that were called hotel rooms and some that were studio apartments, and then some that were bedrooms for short stays. For example, you could rent them for a week and visit, and the hotels were like one night or longer, and then the studios in this particular case were long-term rentals. So you can put any combination of things in there. And this is also important to point out. If you have, say, something like VRBOs and you have several different homes or residences or something that you're renting out or leasing on a long-term basis, You can also embellish that by putting in the room number in the ad room and then putting that information in here. These will slide a little bit more. You can see the widest one is how far this field will look over. So you got a hotel room, second floor, front. So it gives them a lot of description of what actually is there, and it helps when you're looking at this in the calendar, when you're doing an appointment where you're adding a room. It helps you to understand what room you're talking about in your lodge or VRBO or hotel. Okay, clicking off of it drops this away again. And of course, the room status, you can add whatever's appropriate. And the date assigned is the drop down that you get where it has a scroller, and you can add the scroller. This is actually duplicating what you would see in the actual iPad, even though I'm doing it on a desktop computer. The next thing is the date arrival, same situation. Now this is kind of nice because when you do it on the iPad and you click into a field, it actually gives you the time and the AM or PM where you can insert it in there. And if you change it, you'll notice when I put it in there, it automatically updates it and keeps everything correct in the space. I'm just going to go ahead and drop it back. You can see it's instantly going to add it back. Now this you do obviously with your finger. Now if you click off in an area where it's blank or tap in an area where it's blank, it'll go ahead and you can also get it to complete the entry that you're doing. The departed date is obvious. Now normally the departed date is a preset from the standpoint that you know by the reservation when the date is, when they're going to leave, and also the closing time of when the room needs to be vacated, and that would be appropriate for whatever you have in your system. Now the add of the information for the individual, this is the list of all the different records that are in the application, and they will be in alphanumeric order. So if you wanted to see something in here, you can scroll it by finger or whatever. There's no way to do a find to pick these, but you can scroll down and find, just fast scroll them and find where you want to put them in and add whatever this goes into the record as far as the person for this particular room that you're adding it. Now I could put the room occupant up here, but I chose to put it in each record because each one of these are going to be different, meaning that these will be all the reservations for all the rooms, and you'll see that they're going to move down as the new one comes in. Say it's March 8th, the 7th will move down and they'll start marching down. So you can actually look through and go back and edit or look at the record by clicking on the portal and go to the actual room assignment portal. And in the room assignment portal, you'll see the actual booking ID, the name of the person, the number of days that they're going to stay, the room number, the type of room, and it'll fill in more if you have more data in there. Their status, again, is the status that we expect to see. We just saw on the last screen. And all the rest of the data is actually the same. And the only thing that you'll see different in here is the obvious thing that you have a button that will take you back to edit in the main screen. Or if, for example, you're looking at this record and you realize that it's got the wrong data, wrong room, or something in the wrong whatever, you can always delete that by clicking on here. And you can see where it says this individual room is assigned an assignment screen. Add new records in the booking screen. You don't add them here, and that's important. So if you go up and look at the drop-down information, it should not have an add record up here. In fact, I'll correct that. You should not be adding records in the actual file up here. It should not have an add record there. This is a child record to the parent record. So let's go ahead and go back into the main screen. Now, if you have any questions about how the room assignment screen actually functions, or you see something you don't understand, you can always contact us at the developer's website. And there's one quick way to do that. You drop down the Do Action menu, you click on the developer's website icon button right here. It'll take you to developer's website, and there you can tap on the chat and you can have us chat with you, or you can leave an email at the email that is brought up on the screen that you can answer or ask questions at. Okay, if you have any questions, as usual, you can always contact us at the developer site. Thank you.